Okay, so welcome everyone. We are happy to have you for this Working Group for Mathematics in Games webinar. And we are really delighted to welcome Véronique Dasen and Jérôme Gavin, or Gavin, I don't know, Gavin? Gavin?
Oui, Gavin.
Gavin. French pronunciation on a really nice subject. So playing and calculating on lines and in ancient Greece. So I will leave you the board for approximately half an hour, 45 minutes, and then we have a time for exchange and question from the participants. So I leave you the floor and thanks again.
Thank you. Yes, what we will describe today is really a detective story that started with the discovery of a monument, and discovery, as always, that we do by chance. This monument is the following, and I hope I managed to move my screen. Yes, it was a mention in a paper by Yorgos Vitos and his colleague Exarchou, saying we encounter again the Pente grammai in relief on the sepulchral altar of Krannon. So Krannon is in central Greece. The relief depicts a bearded man sitting to the right of a younger man. The latter is turning on the other side towards a small dog standing in his back legs. Between the two men, a table is depicted with the specific games of a Pente grammai. The older man makes a gesture with his right hand that possibly relates to it. And the comment was that we have a depiction of a game between an adult and a child. And this is how we started working on this topic. As you know, what we present now is published as a paper in the book that we published in 2021, and it is also available open access on the Board Game Studies Journal. So this is the relief. So I was very curious because the mention of a man, adult, playing with a child was mentioning something impossible in ancient Greece. Never children do play with adults. So that's where you see it's very important also to know social history to understand what's the point. And we started looking for this relief. It was not easy. It was 2020, so starting with COVID period. Thanks to a colleague who was in Greece, she could see the relief, send me pictures. We got in touch with the museum keepers in Larissa, and we got this picture. So what do we see? This is indeed a late 5th century relief, a funerary altar. It's a big block, heavy block from a cemetery. So cemetery of Krannon in Thessaly, central Greece. And what do we see? We see on the right a bearded man, indeed, who is sitting dressed in a tunic, wrapped in a mantle. He's sitting on a very elegant klismos, so it's not any seat, it's a very elegant seat, and moving his hand towards a block. Facing him, a child, indeed, a young individual, lifting a hand and the other hand towards a dog, on his jumping on his knees. Yes. So the question was, what are they doing? Is it indeed an adult and a child playing Pente grammai? In this sense, it would be a unique scene. You have another view of the block because we could take different pictures, and you see that the man is pointing towards the semicircle along the vertical lines. As you know, we recompose these games. They are available to play online. And this game, Pente grammai, as you probably know too, is a race game played with dice, which means that it is a strategy game, but also a game with chance, a game with luck. And the aim of the game is to go around and to align the 5 counters on the middle line. It has been thoroughly reconstructed by Ulrich Schädler in 2009, and with a junction in 2017 by Stephen Kidd, who suggested that it could be also not just a race game, but a game where you knock off the other partner. If we consider our relief and we look at parallels, problems emerge. Because normally, when you have 2 individuals playing together, they are facing each other as on this vase. And on the Krannon relief, they do not face each other. They do not look at each other. The child is looking the other way. He's looking towards the dog. So it's a different disposal, different structure. It is something else, but what? If we look at the gestures again, we can see also how the individuals are taking counters. So counters are very important when they are playing together, as on this vase from Naples Museum. And even the painter here clearly distinguished the colors of the counters. Javier Netz published in 2002 a very interesting paper about counterculture, which means a culture where you could do all kinds of things with counters, counters being called in Greek psephoi, and it can mean a pebble, it can mean a stone, a little stone, it can mean many things, but also a bone counter. And in English, counter means to count and to play. So keep it in mind. Here in this scene, with the counters, they are doing something else. They are drawing lots who will win the armors of Achilles. So it's another type of scene. But what do they use? They use, again, counters. And in that sense, that's why Javier Netz could speak of a counterculture. You do everything with psephoi. And for long, this scene has been interpreted as having to do with divination, the theme of the Würfel-Oracle, of this divination interpretation has come back recently in 2017 in two papers. And I take this opportunity to show you one of the recent finds of this scene of play between two warriors, because we go on thinking that this is a scene of play. They are opposite each other. It comes from Vulci. We will not go through the text, the whole text, but the author, again, Elisabetta Govi, comes back to the idea that it is clairomanting divination. They are not actually playing. So this is to show you that there are different options, not just play, or something else, or divination. On this block, for instance, we see the two warriors facing each other. We see the counters, the different colors. So you see that there are different elements pointing towards the game. The gestures, the type of counters, the dynamic. And here we have the inscription Athenaias. This belongs to Athena. We may come back to this later. So they are playing under the patronage of Athena. Again, to show you the hands, because we had long discussions with Jérôme Gavin about, do they mean with these gestures numbers? Do they mean I got 1, I got 3, or you are just winning? And it seems it has to do with numbers. Immerwahr, in a seminal paper in 1986, said that there were anomalies in the structure of his board. So the first anomaly can refer to a game, which are the circle or depressions at the end of each line that we find here very clearly in a scene of play. So clearly they are playing with the board on their knees. So these depressions could, little circles, could mean this is a place to put the counter, and this is meaningful only for game. We will also come back to that. Second element that he mentions are the crosses on median lines. And these elements are not always together. This is another point. Not always together. As on this tile, you see these little crosses. And for long, we said, yes, these crosses may have to do with the conduct of a game. But this is an enigma. And then the third element is the semicircle. The semicircle showing a direction. And that's where the Krannon relief is very important, because we have a direction. And the direction is that, as you have seen, the semicircle is opposite the man sitting, as you can see here. But for long, there were really two traditions. Those like Pritchett, thinking that all these depictions are 5 lines game, and others like Alain Sherlig, who was one of the first to speak about it, that this is an abacus and that the counters are to count. Just mention about words used to designate a board to count or a board to play, to show you that this is not that easy, because in fact, in the language itself, the word could mean both. So do we have to do with a board where you could do both? And this is the direction where we go. In Pollux Onomasticon, there is a description of abax, abacion, so abacus. It is so called abax, abacion. Now, it is a board, a little board. It has to do with games because in the enumeration, he lists the dice, dice to shake, knuckle bones, dice pegs. We are in the field of play. And also in Athenaeus, we have a man, it is the King Philip II, who is throwing his gaming board on the couch so as not to be caught while playing. But Photius says the small abacus on which one plays, bets, and makes calculation. So in fact, you can do both. And in fact, this is what our relief is showing us. And I give the floor to Jérôme. We can come back then to the pictures you have seen, but I think he has something much more important to show. So I will stop the sharing and give him the floor. Did I stop sharing? Huh? I think so.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Véronique. Hello to all. It's very difficult for me to speak in English, and I apologize in advance for my approximation. We know many mathematical texts from ancient Greece, and this knowledge is extraordinary. But if the question is how the Greeks made this addition, giving the answer is very difficult because there is no text who says it. There is no explanation. So to try to answer, we have to investigate. The first way of investigation is the written numeration. The Greeks has two main systems of numeration. A first system that functioned like Roman numerals is very simple. This symbol means 100. And you can repeat the symbol. So 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 10, 30. And 3 times 1, 3. So we have 333. A second system with many more symbols that cannot be repeated. So if you look this number, tau mean 300, lambda 30, gamma 3, and you have also 333. This written numeration is not appropriate for the practice of calculation. So it's a false trail. The second trail concerns literary allusions. This is an indirect mention of use of pebbles or counters, psephoi in Greek, to calculate. Here you can see two famous examples. You can quickly read. And the third trail concerns archaeological objects. The most famous is the Salamis abacus. Véronique, Dasen, and I talk about monumental abacus, big abacus. And if we look at this abacus, we see numerical symbols You can see here 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, 1,000. And elsewhere, this abacus contains a group of 5 lines and a semicircle. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the semicircle. There are other monumental abacus with the same characteristics. For example, 2 examples. First, the Oropos abacus. We see numerical symbols, and we see the 5 lines. Another, the Goritsa abacus. We see here only the 5 lines here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we see 5 lines and a semicircle. And a good question is what orientation? Are the lines horizontal or vertical? And the Krannon's relief helps answer this question. The teacher is faced with horizontal lines. And here. And a person calculating in front of horizontal lines has great similarities to images dating from the 16th century, like this. We see here Pythagoras, and he's from in front of horizontal lines, Pythagoras. And we see horizontal lines with pebbles. Another, we see horizontal lines and pebbles. And a last, horizontal line with pebbles. So we see similar scene, but not completely. On one side, the Greek, we have 5 lines, and in the 16th century, we have 4 lines. 5 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 4 lines. So, is it a weakness? We think that paradoxically, no. It's a strongness. Here's why. In our modern counting system, we are 4 primary orders: units, tens, hundreds, and thousands. And when thousands are reached, we start again. Unit of 1,000, 10 of 1,000, 100 of 1,000, and we start again. So it's logical that the primitive system of calculation should consist in 4 lines, like that. In ancient Greece, there are 5 primary orders: units, tens, hundreds, thousands, and myriads. When myriads are reached, we start again. We count myriads. So it's logical that the primitive system of calculation should consist of five lines, excuse me. We can now imagine, like that, excuse me. We can now imagine the system. So it's easy, huh? One pebble on the first line is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very easy to understand. 5. We see here, we can feel that there is too many pebbles for our perception. It's why for 5 pebbles or counters, we replace these 5 by 1 between the line. Donc 5 counters or pebbles are replaced by a single between the lines. And here, it's an extraordinary moment of abstraction for mathematics. Why? Because the unique people represent multiples. And it's fundamental in mathematics. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and for 10, we see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pebbles. We replace by 1. And we see here 2 pebbles mean 5 and 5. We replace by 1 on the second line, the line of the tens. This is tens. It's the same structure of the 16th century. This is a German book, but we can see 1 for 1, second line 10 for 10, third line 100 for 100, and 1000 for 1000. And we see too that between the line it's 5, 50, 500, 5000. Just a remark, this is 10, but this is 10 also, and this is 10. And it's very important that the lines structure and offer a space of freedom. Well, we can now imagine an addition, this addition. So we look 600 to 20 and 7 units. And we want to addition with this number, donc 400, 7 tens and 1, donc 471. And to add up, excuse me, we simply put the pebbles or the counters together. So look, it's a great emotion. This is the addition. And you see the result simply become. This is the result, but this is also the result. Or also again. This is immensely simple, and nothing obliges us to group in the center. We can now do reduction. We see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 500. So we put the 5 pebbles and replace by 1 here. And 500 and 500, we can take the pebbles and replace in one. The addition is finished, and we look the result, 1,998 is the result of the operation. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much for both of you. Véronique, you want to add something, or it's okay for you?
I think Jérôme could add something about the semicircle, because maybe you have a question about it, and maybe also you remember Immerwahr said, so there are this round ending, okay, so this maybe, and we discussed with Jérôme, most likely this is indeed for games, and we should look again at all the evidence to see how it is distributed. But the cross, maybe you have seen the cross in the medieval ages and also on our elements. So there are also hypotheses about what is the use of this cross, huh? And the semicircle. Maybe Jérôme, you could add something about it, because I like your interpretation. It's a very convincing one. You can show again your PowerPoint.
I try to. Voilà. I perhaps returned for the Salamis abacus.
Okay.
So when you look this series of numbers, this is one drag, 5, 10.
Mais moi, Jérôme, je vois pas l'écran. Il faudrait recommencer le partage, je crois.
Non, c'était bon.
Ah, lui, alors c'est moi qui vois pas. OK.
C'est bon?
Là, c'est bon.
Là, c'est bon.
Il faut juste que ça monte.
C'est bon.
Mm.
Vous voyez?
Oui.
Yes.
Okay. So this is one drag. On the right, this is the oboe. And 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, 1,000. And we see that it's a regular suite. And when you arrive here, 1,000, here is 5,000. So we can multiply by 5, and this is a talent. So there is two logical system. It's not regular. It's a tree. So we can stay in base 10 or go to the talent. And an hypothesis that we propose is that the semicircle offer the possibility of go to another way. If you stay on the line, you're in the regular bars, and if you go to the semicircle, you go in talent. It's an hypothesis.
And one must remember that these abaci were found in sanctuaries, And not because in sanctuaries one used to play, it's because in sanctuaries one used to exchange a lot of money. You would bring money from all over the Greek world to give whatever to the deity, and a change was important, to have a system to produce the change of money, of currency.
Mm.
So it would make sense. And the child on the Krannon relief then would be a student learning also this method, this system.
Mm-hmm.
But as we say, nobody says that then you cannot play on that board. You can do both. But it depends. When you calculate, you don't use a dice, but you also use counters. And this fluidity between the two is for us very meaningful, and also a meaningful pedagogical tool to restore the ludic dimension of reckoning. And we know that in ancient Greece, a lot of training was done also in a ludic way. And we know Plato, for instance, describes games to teach students to calculate, to reckon, and among other things. And this fits very well with that way of thinking about training.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the both of you. I think it's the time for question, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of questions when I see the people connected in this room. So please feel free to open the mic and ask your question. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thank you very much for your presentation. This is exciting. I was just actually speaking with someone earlier today about how they use mancala boards in Ethiopia as a kind of abacus as well. So this was interesting. I was wondering, first, I don't think you ever addressed the X's or the crosses on the board, what their function might have been. And also on some of the slabs you showed, there are the 5 lines with a semicircle, but it also seems that there was a series of multiple lines, like more than 5 on them. I was also wondering about them.
Je peux répondre en français et quelqu'un traduit?
Oui, vas-y.
En fait, pour ce qui est de la croix, dans les textes du XVIe siècle, il n'y a aucun doute parce qu'on sait que c'est un repère pour pouvoir écrire les nombres après. Donc les croix qui sont présentes permettent de passer à une forme écrite. Maintenant, dans le monde grec, c'est difficile à dire parce qu'il y a ces croix qu'on a vues dans ce que tu as montré, Véronique. Et on peut penser que ça permet d'avoir des repérages, mais il n'y a pas d'explication probante. Juste par rapport aux 11 lignes, hein, aux structures avec plus de lignes, elles sont présentes et dans la bague de repose et dans la bague de Goritza et d'autres grandes abacs monumentaux. Donc, c'est clairement des objets dans lesquels on calcule.
Did you understand? Oh, tu veux traduire peut-être, Lisa, tu connais mieux le vocabulaire mathématique.
No. I think you're more precise than I am, so please do. You know the subject better than I do.
Jérôme showed these medieval and early modern engravings where we see these crosses, and they seem to be, but we know by the text, because there it is documented, that they serve as indicators in the reckoning method. Voilà. But we don't know for Greece, of course. We have no mention. But there is anyway no mention of learning the primary mathematics. And that's why this relief is so interesting, because if it is really a lesson, a math lesson, it is one of the earliest we know. And these people have no names. only the stars, the bling bling people, the theoreticians like Archimedes, Euclides, we know about. But who was teaching your child? We don't know. But here there is a man, and he even has a very nice name. He's called Phanaios, the one who brings light. So for an educator, quite a nice name. So the cross, you see, is part of a reckoning method, and this is attested in the medieval period. And that's why we think it is something similar in ancient Greece. And the cross appear only when you have more than 5 lines. So there maybe the calculation becomes more complex.
And do you have a theory about what the more than 5 lines diagrams are used for? Is that a different kind of calculation or?
Tu as compris, Jérôme? Est-ce que plus que 5 lignes, est-ce que c'est d'autres types de calculs?
Moi, je pense que le système est le même. C'est vrai que il y a beaucoup d'auteurs qui placent les jetons entre les lignes. Et on place ces jetons entre les lignes parce que dans notre numération écrite, on n'aurait pas l'idée d'écrire un chiffre sur une ligne et d'avoir le fait qu'il soit barré. Mais il ne faut pas oublier que dans le monde antique, de mon point de vue, la ligne guide le jeton. Elle ne délimite pas une zone pour le mettre au milieu. On voit très bien que dans les systèmes qui ont été montrés, on pose les jetons sur la ligne et puis on peut mettre entre les deux. Donc, le système serait le même, c'est-à-dire qu'on peut tracer des lignes, poser les jetons dessus, et même s'il y en a plus, ben, ça évite d'avoir, par exemple, de devoir mettre au milieu. Il y aurait un guide qui serait pour chaque ordre de grandeur, par exemple.
Okay, so,
And maybe one could stress another specificity of the Greek and Roman, but until the medieval period, the way of reckoning, it is that you reckon on an abacus and you write the result. You write the result.
Mm-hmm.
And the Indo-Arabic revolution is that you do everything with these symbols.
I think this is really interesting because at some point this is a way to calculate which is really interesting because you manipulate really the numbers and you have to do a kind of mathematical why is there balloons on my okay and you have to translate I don't know what I did but and you have to translate at some point what you see on the abacus and what the pebbles or the counters that you might manipulated, and then you have to transform it into a number that you can, then you said that you can write the result you have to write. And which I think is really interesting as well is you don't have a unique way of representing the number on the abacus. As you said, you can use I mean, it's not wrong to write 5 as 5 pebbles on one line or to write 1 pebble between 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, it's a step that you have to reach if you want to convert the number into the proper system, if I say that.
Yeah.
And it's the great difference between these abacus on the Chinese or the Japanese abacus, because we have not the freedom.
Yeah,
it's a abstraction. It's a great abstraction. Par contre, dans ces systèmes-là, on a la possibilité de déborder, de mettre autant qu'on veut. Donc c'est beaucoup plus facile. It's more easy.
Peut-être tu pourrais montrer, Jérôme, la taille et puis le vase, mais très rapidement, pour illustrer les documents qu'on a qui montrent ce rapport qui est entre le résultat et puis l'opération du calcul. Mais très rapidement, hein. Alors, il y a le vase.
So Véronique, perhaps you can comment the
Yes,
images.
there are very few documents. We only show you 2, and there are very few. This one is in Italy, so Grande Grèce, so South Italy vase, where we see an embassy coming to Darius and making offerings, and a man is calculating how much it makes. So you see he has a tablet, And on the tablet, maybe somewhere we have put the results. On the tablet, there is the result. And on the table, there is the calculation. So it's perfect illustration of a process. Peut-être tu montes la suivante. Là, oui. Voilà. Et celle-ci aussi. So it is... this is carnelian pendant stone, and you see the man on one hand. In one hand, he has a result, and on the table, he's making the calculation. So these are the kind of documents we have to work with to understand what's on.
Mhm.
But as said Jérôme, for in a pedagogical way, it is so important to help school children to get abstraction in math, and this is a real help to touch the pebble and understand physically in a material way how it works.
Mhm. And also, this is a really good tool or instrument to work on the complement of 5 or the complement of 10, which can be difficult for kids as well in primary school. And I think it's a great tool as well to do that.
And maybe
okay.
Yes. So we have now the two online, and one can use them for school children. We made a test with over 300 school children, and it worked beautifully. It was a great success, and we hope to pursue the test.
Okay, nice. Is there any other question or remarks? So that I think you can see there is a question from Alice in the chat. Alice, if you want to open your mic, you can, please do. Otherwise, I can read the question. So hello, I would like to know if for you there were other games, maybe like Pente, grammai, who were used before it with a serious purpose. And then we have a question from Thierry. So can you answer Alice on this point?
What means serious? It is always anyway. I mean, playing is always good for training to count. But here in that case, it has really the double function, the full double function, and it is also with the earliest Greek games. And it explains why it has such a success in vase painting. We have over 200 representations of these two warriors. And this explains it's not chess, but it is something that in Greek culture has also a depth, has also much more meaning than we think. So the others certainly are good to count for reasoning. They are excellent. So serious if you want. But this one is special because it has the two.
Okay, thank you. Thierry, you want to open your mic?
I'm not absolutely convinced that the same board was used for calculations and gaming. When we consider the actual gaming boards for Pente, grammai, we see that all lines have little bowls at the ends, which is not the case for the actual abacuses or abaci. So I'm not really convinced the same place can be used for both playing and calculating. It's something that I will show tomorrow with my Inca or so-called Inca examples, where there is an absolute difference between calculating and gaming with boards.
Yes, that's what we said about Immerwahr when he points to this question of a depression. This could be an element. We should really re-examine the whole corpus of known boards and see whether we find these elements or not. And check, for instance, if when we have a depression, do we have also cross, for instance? This would be very interesting to put the two together. And I would say that in the antiquity, maybe there is much more flexibility than we think. We are so much used to have one tool for one thing. It's much more polysemic. It's much more flexible.
Well,
So I just
there is no Roman example of such a mix of boards. It would be purely Greek.
Mhm. Alors, c'est Jérôme qui a travaillé sur les abacs romains.
J'ai
So
pas
they're
compris la
quite
question en
different.
fait.
Il se demande si ce système est purement grec ou que faisaient les Romains.
Ben, jusqu'à aujourd'hui, on n'a aucun abac romain connu. Par contre, on a des petites plaques de bronze d'à peu près une quinzaine de centimètres sur une dizaine qui ressemblent furieusement au boulier japonais, mais à, à 1500 ans d'écart. Et la question, elle est grandement ouverte au niveau des Romains, puisqu'on n'a pas une trace d'abac jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
But
Okay, so
do you think these small bronze tablets which you are describing are not Roman, or maybe they're fakes? Are they really Roman? Est-ce que ce
Yes.
sont vraiment des objets romains ou
Oui, c'est sûr,
oh,
parce qu'on en a retrouvé dans la tombe de Flavius Flaccus, dans des fouilles à Aoste, et c'était le matériel d'un scribe. Donc il y en a en tout cas une qui est sûre. Simplement, c'était en bronze et on peut penser que c'était pas la norme. C'est des objets qui ont peut-être disparu parce qu'ils ont été fondus, mais ces objets ont traversé le temps, mais ils n'ont pas, à mon avis, c'était pas la norme, l'utilisation courante. Par contre, il est sûr et certain que c'est un objet romain qu'on a retrouvé au milieu d'un matériel de comptable ou d'administrateur romain.
okay, but that is it's quite different from the Greek system.
Mhm. Oui.
So
So
for the non-French speakers, we were discussing the
Oh.
different kind of abacus between the Greek and the Romans, and as Jérôme just said, and Thierry also, the Roman abacuses are really different, and so far none of them have been really found except these bronze tablets, not tablets but bronze artifacts on which it could be used to calculate. So perhaps Thierry, do you have another remark, or we can take Savannah's question?
No, I have finished.
Okay, thank you very much. So Savannah, if you want to ask your question or give your remark.
Hi, I'm new here. I really enjoyed the lecture. It made me think of, well, I definitely learned a lot. My background is in archaeology, and I just wanted to ask if you could tell me a little bit more about where the grave stela was found again. That was the only part I think where I maybe missed something. I was just really curious to see what the context of the stela was.
Ah, the context of the stela. It's a funny story. This piece was never excavated. It was always there in the middle of a field. And well, in the 70s, they decided to put it in the reserves of a museum, and it was lost there. And it is just by chance that these two Greek colleagues commented it, because nobody knew about it. So it was never excavated. It was always there. But now I know Dimitri Bosnakis, who is excavating in Krannon. He was very interested, and he told me he will keep in touch about the newest excavation in that very important town, but totally forgotten town, but it was a wealthy one. And I don't know if now they have put it as it would deserve in full sight in the museum. And I sent them what we did, and also this demonstration that can be done with school children and so on, to trying to count and to play on the board. And I don't know how it will follow, but I think I have good hope that we will manage to have it on display.
I certainly hope so. It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any maybe relative date for it, like just based on the artistic style? Or
Yes, the dating is the artistic style, of course, and also it's a funny picture because when you look at it, you could say, oh, there is a school child and he's not listening to the professor. He prefers to play with a dog, but in fact, these pictures are never a photograph; they are codes, and it is a well-known code in funerary art to have a child with a dog. And with just the same position, the dog jumping towards the child. And we know from text that it was also part of education to have a dog. You would train the dog and you would train yourself at the same time, learn to care for someone and so on. So learning also life rules, daily life rules. So in a sense, we have a picture about education composed as a mosaic with elements that are well known and making a bigger picture about education.
that's fascinating. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Perhaps there's another question or remark? No. So if no, I have to advertise Working Group 2 webinar tomorrow. It's a talk who will be given by Thierry, who is with us at the moment. And I think it could be really great to assist at this seminar as well, because I think it's a kind of a complementary subject from the one we are talking today. So the title of your presentation, Thierry, will be Yupana Taptana, Abacus or Game Board. So this is exactly the same question. An interesting case study for AI application. So it's within the Working Group 2 webinar, so heritage, cultural heritage of games, and it's going to be at 6 o'clock as well, Paris time, and you can find the link to follow on Zoom via the Discord channel, or even on the website of the Cost Action. So please attend this wonderful webinar as well. Thank you again, Véronique and Jérôme. It was really interesting, and I think it shows many different aspects of abacus and games and playing and having serious or not serious activities with boards. I think it's really interesting. So thank you very much to the both of you, and thank you for the participants to be there, because otherwise we would be boring without you and without your questions. So thank you a lot.
Thank you for welcoming us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a nice evening, all of you, and see you in another webinar, and see you tomorrow then.
Yeah.